You're welcome back. All is now set ahead of the proposed June deadline of the digital switchover in Kwara State for the North Central region of the country. Director General of NBC, Ishaq Modiboka, will disclose this while inspecting facilities put at an integrated television station service for digital switchover. Abdul Wahid Bibire tells us more.
Director General of the National Broadcasting Commission, Ishaq Modiboka, while inspecting the equipment for the digital switchover for the North Central Zone in Ilorin, the state capital, said digital switchover changes the architectural design of television from analog to a digital format. This development, according to him, is multifaceted, and the provision of set-top boxes that will enable Nigerians to interact with government and deepen democratic processes.
Each one is 1,500 naira, and that is because it was subsidized. As we move forward, we're going to have more market-driven approaches to the sale of those boxes, but they're going to be in such a manner that Nigerians can be able to afford those boxes, because Nigerians have the right to information, and the Nigerian government is not going to abridge that right.
Nigerians, he stressed, can now watch digital television for 24 hours. Apart from the opportunity to watch different channels, the new development, the DG added, will provide job opportunity for Nigerian teaming youths, especially programs producers. Madam Ishaq Modiboka also noted that arrangements are on top gear to create thematic stations dedicated mainly for specific programs.
You're going to have television for 24 hours a day. We're going to have content. And our decision is that 70% of all the content on television in Nigeria have to be local content, which means that we must have Nigerians producing new content.
Abdul Wahid Bibire, NTA News.
African countries recently converged on Rwanda to brainstorm on improving cities on the continent, in line with Smart Cities initiative being pursued globally. NTA News correspondent Omnioden, who was in Kigali for the conference, reports that the takeaways from the meeting include planning well to move Africa, which is the fastest growing continent.
It is a high-level conversation on African smart cities and the partnership that will foster the transition to an innovation-based society in Africa. The discussions from various platforms by leaders in the public and private sectors, international organizations, the academia, and civil society are centered on how to efficiently handle the unique and complex challenges facing the African cities using data and technology. Paul Kagame, President of Rwanda and Chairman of the Smart Africa Board, says Africa remains the least urbanized continent, but fastest growing, yet not prospering, because it is disconnected from technology and innovation. The future well-being of Africa, he says, depends on how the continent responds to the challenges, which demands that Africa has to be connected in the highest speed to information communication technology.
The word smart is really about leveraging digital technologies to narrow the gap between the high-quality services we need and those we can afford, and to do so quickly.
As the conversation sustains towards attaining smart cities in Africa, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyama, agrees that this is one move that will fast-track socio-economic development in Africa, but with effective collaboration among African countries.
There's no one technology that's necessarily going to, overcome some of these infrastructural challenges, but what it does require, and I think this is what came out clearly, is a partnership of the government and the private part, the private sector, and also the academia.
The debate is reinforced around the next wave of innovative, integrated technologies that will help cities around the world become more compassionate, connected, responsive, and sustainable. Delegates at the summit agreed that Africa can leapfrog to catch up with other continents of the world in the area of innovation, connection, and transformation in ICT technology, but the provision of adequate ICT infrastructure in the continent remains the challenge. From the Kigali Convention Center, Omnioden, NTA News.
Also joining us in the studio to shed more light on this Smart Cities initiative is NTA's correspondent, Omini Oden. Omina, what is the Smart Cities, this world is talking about right now?
Well, ultimately, from the content of the report you just saw, it's all about innovation, connectivity, and transformation. Africa, under the Agenda 2063 of the African Union Commission, working side by side with the Sustainable Development Goals, is looking at a day where every African person, woman, man, youth, will travel to any part of the continent without necessarily saying, first of all, in the area of telecom. If I travel to East Africa, for instance, I don't need to buy a new SIM card to connect. If I want to get a product from a rural farmer, I don't need to connect. I don't need to go hard copy, just a button, I'm there. So the ultimate goal of the smart cities is basically, there's no doubt the fact that Africa remains very, very endowed, but it's yet to leapfrog into what other continents are doing. So ultimately, what the smart cities is looking at, a clear-cut integration across all the sectors of the economy, in the area of agriculture, in the area of banking, telecom, and even in broadcast in Africa.
All right. Is this visible for Nigeria to key into this initiative?
Well, Nigeria has indicated very strong interest. At the end of the Transform Africa Summit in Kigali, one of the countries that was mentioned has shown very strong commitment to be part of the process, that is the Transform Africa initiative, is Nigeria. And as I speak, the Minister of Communications, Adebayo Shitu, had announced the fact that Nigeria is warming up to float its own Smart Cities Nigeria, which will engage all the tiers of government, all the sectors of government, for a need for Nigerians to come together to key into the initiative. So already Nigeria has shown strong commitment, and as we speak, during the sharing of knowledge sessions, a Russian participant said, in Russia today, as a public servant, you don't need necessarily to drive to the office on a daily basis. You could do your job just from the click of the buttons on your laptop. So that's what the whole initiative is looking at. E-governance, go to offices, you don't need to have papers stashed all over in the shelves. All you need to just be smart and be up to date. The good example is that in Rwanda today, if you hop into a mass transit bus in Rwanda, if you hop into a commuter taxi in Rwanda, the first thing the driver asks you is, are you online? He shows you a Wi-Fi code. So it's not a big deal to use Wi-Fi in Rwanda. Okay. But if Nigeria keys in, will properly be activated on it.
All right, amazing, Omini. The key word at the summit, which you indicated in your report earlier, you said Africa is not developing, but it is the fastest growing continent. Can you speak more on this?
Yes, Africa is the fastest growing continent, but it is left to catch up with other continents of the world. Because, for instance, in other climes, let me use Nigeria for instance, I could sit in Abuja and do a transaction with a farmer in the fringes of the Northeast without necessarily going to the Northeast. That's what the whole essence of it is all about. I could sit right here in Abuja and get reports uploaded anywhere without, it's about being smart naturally to just use the word ICT, governance basically on ICT, innovation, connectivity, and transformation, ultimately. Amazing. Less of paperwork, less of hard copy, but digitization.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Omini Oden, for shedding more light on the Smart Cities initiative.